I am back. We have a lot to talk about. Very interesting past 2 or 3 weeks that I've been through. Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Milton, and a bunch of other different stuff that I'll get into in a second. But I'm finally able to record. Wow, feels really good to be back in my room. Feels honestly pretty upsetting that I waited so long to record, but I have pretty good reason. So for those of you who don't know, I live in the South. Now I live in just the general vicinity near Florida, near Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, all those states. I'm not going to specify which because I don't know, I'm lazy. But Hurricane Helene. Now, Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton were two of the big bads this year with the hurricane season. They kind of destroyed the land. Well, Helene more than Milton, but it's because Helene was super underestimated and Milton was super overestimated, right? Hurricane Helene came out of nowhere like the Undertaker. It just completely sideswiped the entire south part of the United States of America, and I was left without power for a few days. My family and I got super fortunate. I remember two and a half weeks ago, I came down back from college. I came back to my house like a couple of days early. I wanted to avoid the rain because there was rain being forecasted, right? So I come down back to my house early and I chill out. And then the next night, I hear the most excruciatingly fast winds I've ever heard in my entire life. They were howling more than a pack of wolves, and it was insane. And the next morning, trees were down everywhere, power was out, and that was Hurricane Helene. And then I look on the website and my school campus is like in shambles. And I just got here today, I haven't been back in school in a solid 2.5 weeks. Well, kind of, and I'll get into that more as well as we move on through this video. So Hurricane Helene happens and I'm left without power. Now, I said I got extremely fortunate. My family and I got extremely fortunate. There wasn't many things to talk about in regards of housing damage. There, were of course a few trees down, so we figured that out. The roads were terrible a few days after Hurricane Helene. No traffic lights were working. Trees were down everywhere. But it all worked out. Everyone in my personal circle is fine, which I'm very happy to say. But unfortunately, there are a ton of people who got affected, and there are some people in Florida, and I think also some parts of Georgia and stuff like that, that are still without power from Hurricane Milton, which I'll also talk about in a second. Just to say, we got very lucky. I got very lucky, and I'm very happy to say that. But I truly do feel bad for those who weren't as lucky as me, and it made me reflect on something. When I was without power, when my family and I were in our house without power, it was really hot and it was really inconvenient because we rely so much on power. I'm using power for literally everything I do in a day-to-day basis. And it just makes me think, wow, I have a lot more to be thankful for than I really give credit to, but that's besides the point. So power returns, all seems relatively well, and then it comes to find out I get multiple emails saying that my school campus here is in complete shambles, right? I don't live right next to where I go to school. I have to drive to where I go to school, but I live on campus for a school, right? The school campus is a historic site for the Civil War, and there were many different trees that lasted from the Civil War until now that were uprooted by these winds. Now, if you don't know, these trees are extremely deep in the ground. They're very powerful, they're very strong because they've lasted for so long, and they're nice trees. And these winds were strong enough to completely uproot them and ruin them. That's pretty scary. And it honestly makes me upset because that's a massive part of this university's history are those trees and the campus. And it sucks that it was kind of ruined. But campus is open now, school's back in session. And I thought it was going to be back in session when I came back last week, which is what I'm going to talk about now. But you'll hear it's kind of ridiculous. So let me set the timeline for you. This is like a week and a half after Milton. It's a Sunday. And I drive up to school. I drive from my house to here where I'm sitting right now, and I'm driving, and I'm noticing a lot of power lines and a lot of trees are in the road, which makes sense, right? A massive hurricane just hit us. And there was a stretch of road where the power lines were so scattered that people had to maneuver, like the construction companies had to outline a path in a 2-lane road with traffic cones to avoid active power lines because they were just sprawled across the road. It was rough, and especially in a manual car going up and down hills and trying to navigate through those tight corridors, it's pretty rough. I come to my school, and almost every single road I drive on has no working power lights and is a 1-lane road because the trees are blocking the way. And I get closer and closer to my dorm, and every single traffic light either isn't working or is just straight up gone. Most traffic lights, like areas where there would be a traffic light, there just weren't. There were no traffic lights. It was rough. And me personally, I'm not used to driving in those conditions. I'm not used to driving in these conditions where every single traffic light is treated as like a multi-way stop sign, because the drivers here, first of all, suck. I made an entire video based on that. You should go watch it. It's pretty funny. But the drivers here suck. So that was a little bit interesting. So I get here, I come into my room, and I figure out that there's no Wi-Fi. And so I stay for another day, and then I go right back home, because that same week, which was last week, we had fall pause, and I was thankfully able to do school online, and it all worked out. And now we're here. Also, quick side note, thankfully I wasn't affected by Hurricane Milton at all. A lot of Florida, or all of Florida actually, was affected pretty bad by Hurricane Milton. So if you see any, GoFundMes for all that stuff, please kindly donate a couple dollars to different fundraisers. They definitely need it. But now we're here, and I'm back, and I just want to say I'm alive, thankfully. Also, another quick side note, I know that I have a weird goatee thing going on. I wanted to try something new. No one in my family likes it. No one likes it. They all think it's gross, and I'm probably going to remove it today after my shower. But also another thing, let me put my mic down. Look at this sick Metallica shirt I have. Isn't this so cool? I found this at Goodwill with my girlfriend yesterday. Isn't it so cool? Like, it's a really cool shirt. So I'm geeking out real quick. I'm just very glad that the hurricanes for now seem to be over and everything is back to normal. And I'm very happy that I can keep recording, because I've missed this. I've missed recording. I've missed talking to my camera, and I've missed saying how my day was to you guys. There's so much to talk about. There's so much that I've missed. There's so many news with politics, with video games, with other weather conditions, with cars. Like the McLaren W1 was revealed. That's massive. And there's just a ton of news that unfortunately I believe I'm too late to cover. I still could, I guess, but I don't really know. I try to make good time with these videos, especially ones that cover something new. And if I don't, then I feel like most of my audience is going to watch someone else's video and then not pay attention to mine. So unfortunately, what I'm doing right now is it's both a hobby and a competition with others. And I'm put at a very big disadvantage just because of timing. So we'll figure it out. Personally, I struggle with a lot of anxiety. A lot of stuff scares me. Driving new places, meeting new people, all of these things, they make me pretty worried about the what ifs. And the hurricane, with how much havoc and how much money and how much trouble it caused, there was a massive silver lining to it. It really made me think about what's in and what's out of my control, and what I can personally do to minimize the amount of emotion I cater toward the things that are out of my control. Now, this brings me back to the day when my family and we were in our house and we lost power. We lost power for well over 24 hours. Well, yeah, a little bit over 24 hours, I believe, if I'm remembering that correctly. And I couldn't do anything. We didn't have Wi-Fi. I had to step outside and charge my phone in one of our cars to actually get a cell charge, because none of our portable battery things worked. And we had no Wi-Fi, we had no nothing. We couldn't cook food, and it was rough because we live close to a lot of other houses and also some stores and restaurants. No one had power. The store that we visit, the store that we frequent, also didn't have power, so we couldn't get any cold things. It was a very trying time, if not for, it was just a day long. It wasn't too long, it was only a day long, and that really put it into perspective how much I rely on things, but also it really put into perspective how upset I get when stuff goes wrong that's out of my control. And that in and of itself really made me realize how much I need to stop, because that's very unhealthy. And unfortunately, I think that's one of the main problems of my bad anxiety. My bad anxiety has kept me from using a lot of my personality, a lot of my body. It's been keeping me from using my car, my money. It's been keeping me from being myself. And that's a rough thing to admit, and I'm getting a little bit personal here, so I'll stop in a little bit. But I just want to say that you need to, as a person, and as a person who probably wants to be successful, you need to differentiate the things that are in your control and the things that are outside of your control. And then you need to realize that 99.9% of things that happen to you ever are out of your control. And then from there, you can choose to allocate emotions to things that are out of your control or not. And if you do, you can choose which emotions to allocate to those things that are out of your control. For example, with the hurricane, I originally was very upset that we didn't have power. I thought, man, these power companies, they suck. I said, bah humbug. And I said, man, I'm going to go up there to myself. I'm going to go up to Georgia Power myself and smack them or something like that. I don't know. But throughout that time that we didn't have power, I realized I couldn't really control that, right? I wasn't part of the power company. I didn't take out the power, so I had nothing to do with the power. I was just using it. Well, in this current scenario, I wasn't using it, so I decided to do different things that could have occupied my time. And I decided to tell myself that, it is what it is, and I figured it out from there, and that was really healthy. It really worked out for me. Another thing that really messed with my noodle up here was that the gyms were closed. The gym over back at my house, the Planet Fitness was closed, and the Planet Fitness up here has been closed for a while, but actually now it's back up, which is great. I use the gym for a lot of physical and mental exertion, right? I transfer my energy into my muscles out onto the weights because, I'm a pretty big guy myself, right? Let me just flex my shoulders here. No, I'm just kidding. But the gyms were closed. Those were my main outlets of just exerting energy, getting all my thoughts onto the barbell and pushing them off my chest, and they were closed. And so unfortunately, I used the time that I was home and being lazy, I overate and I did all these things. But I just had to tell myself, it is what it is. Got to get back into my routine, back into the swing of things, and move on. And that's ultimately all you can do. So yeah, I just wanted to make this video to update you guys and just say, I'm alive, I'm well. My surroundings aren't, to be honest. A lot of trees are down and it really sucks. It really makes me upset. Also, quick question. Should I keep this goatee? I really don't know. I think I need a second opinion because I kind of like it. I think it looks pretty weird. I don't think it looks very natural to me, but regardless, let me know. But for right now, that's all. Stay safe.